Hi everyone. So for my observation, I went to Panera and I sat down and I waited for a little bit to see who was walking in and walking out to find that perfect person to observe. And I found a elder gentleman, probably a like mid 60s, late 60s, um, and he was very frail and fragile, very skinny. I would even say maybe early 70s. So I thought he was the perfect guy to observe, to see all the differences between that and someone who's 20 years old. So in terms of flow, he was very much bound flow. If he wanted to stop at any point, he could. Very much the opposite of free flow. And then for weight, I would say he was taking very light steps. There's no strong steps or anything forceful about him or the way he walked. Um, yeah, so he was very much like taking steps with ease, very light. And for space, I would say that he was not using all of his space. I always felt like he could reach out more. Like he wasn't reaching out past his own sphere. He was very much not even like halfway past in the middle of his sphere. And then for time, he was very much so taking his time with everything, taking his time walking in, taking his time ordering, taking his time walking to his table, and then getting his food. Very much not in a rush, very slow walking movements. So he had a hunch in his back, he was hunched over, and then his head was down almost always, and his hands were in fists by his side the entire time, which I felt was a little bit strange. So let me show you how he walked. You can see it. So his hands were in fists, and they were by his side, and he was hunched over, and his head was down, and he just took slow, light walks, maybe even a little more hunched over. Yeah, so this is what he was doing. I thought that his hands being in fists was very different. I never really saw that before. And so it was interesting to see like all the differences between the way he walks and I walk. Afterwards I kind of like observed myself, and I noticed that like I walk very much with my hands. I don't place them by my side, and my back isn't hunched over. If anything, there's a little more of an arch. And I noticed the main difference is that this is like with me, with most people, that he walked turned in with his feet. I walked turned out. That's just a little weird thing about me. So I noticed that was a very big difference. There was a little bit of a similarity that he walked with his head down, and I occasionally tend to do that too. Not as much as he does because he rarely ever picked it up. But I noticed that I do walk with my head down a little bit too. So this observation was really cool to see, the differences and the one little similarity between a 20-year-old female and a older gentleman. So it was a really cool experience to do.